The night she saw that tiny piece of paper snuffed in his pocket, she always thought the world revolves around her, but she discovered a secret only her knows about. What happens when just one person strikes like a multitude of people? Is the fight going to be won or a loss for her? Sit tight and find out. Before you continue to my story, tell me in the comments where you are watching from. I would like to know how far my videos are moving.
Sarah Chen's life looks like a dream. 23 years of marriage to Mark, a beautiful home in the suburbs. Their son Jake is 18, brilliant, about to conquer the world. This morning is like every other morning. Mark kisses her goodbye, tells her she's beautiful, mentions another late meeting. The Morrison account, he says, 7 figures if it closes. Jake nails his college interview that afternoon. Sarah watches through the glass, her heart swelling with pride. That evening, they celebrate over wine and her famous roasted chicken. Mark toasts their son, then promises Sarah their anniversary trip to Santorini. Just the two of them. They've earned it. But then his phone starts buzzing. Once, twice, 3 times. Mark glances at the screen and, for just a second, something changes in his face. Something tight. He flips it face down without reading it. "Just work spam," he says. Jake laughs. "Dad, you really need to update your filters." Mark forces a smile, but his jaw clenches. Sarah notices. She always notices. Later that night, hanging up his jacket, she finds a receipt in the pocket. Cartier, $8,500, dated 3 days ago. She checks her jewelry box. Nothing new. She stands there, turning the receipt over in her hands. From downstairs, Mark calls her name. Sarah folds the receipt carefully, slips it back exactly where she found it. "It's probably for Santorini," she whispers to herself. But her hand trembles as she closes the closet door.
3 months pass, the receipt forgotten. Life continues its perfect rhythm. Until Sarah logs into their joint bank account to pay the contractors renovating their kitchen. She's scanning the transactions when she sees it, a wire transfer. $500,000 to someone named L. Morrison. Her breath catches. She calls Mark. He's in a meeting. Of course he is. Sarah starts digging, and what she finds makes her hands shake so badly she can barely hold the mouse. 4 years of transfers. They started small, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, then they grew. 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. The most recent, $500,000. She adds it up 3 times, certain she's made a mistake. She hasn't. $2 million. Gone. To L. Morrison. Sarah sits in her pristine kitchen, surrounded by paint samples and tile choices, and realizes she doesn't know her husband at all.
That night, Sarah prints everything. Bank statements, transfer receipts, 4 years of lies on paper. She lays them across their bed in perfect rows. When Mark walks in, he freezes. The color drains from his face. He sits down heavily on the edge of the bed, staring at the evidence like it might disappear if he looks long enough. "I can explain," he says. Sarah's voice is ice. "Then explain. $2 million. 4 years. Who is L. Morrison?" Mark runs his hands through his hair. "Linda. Her name is Linda. She's going through something. She needed help." "Help? You gave a stranger $2 million and called it help? It's not what it looks like." "Then what is it, Mark? What does it look like?" But he doesn't answer. He can't. He just sits there, this man she shared a bed with for 23 years, and says nothing. "Sleep in the guest room," Sarah tells him. He does.
Sarah doesn't fall apart. She can't afford to. Jake's college acceptance letters are arriving. The contractors need decisions. Life doesn't stop just because your world is ending. But she hires a private investigator. His name is Richard Chen. No relation, he jokes, but Sarah doesn't laugh. "Find out everything," she tells him. "I want to know who she is." At home, she maintains the facade, makes breakfast, helps Jake with scholarship applications, hosts Mark's business partners for dinner. She plays the perfect wife while dying inside. At night, she studies her reflection, searching for what she lacks. She's 45, but she's aged well. She's smart, funny, a good mother, a good wife. So why wasn't she enough? She stops eating. Sleep becomes impossible. She lies awake, replaying 23 years, looking for the moment she lost him. Was it after Jake was born when she was tired and touched out? Was it 5 years ago when her mother died and she disappeared into grief? When did she become someone he needed to replace? The questions consume her, but she keeps moving. For Jake. Always for Jake.
1 week later, Richard calls. "I've got something. You should come to my office." He slides a folder across his desk. Sarah opens it with shaking hands. Linda Morrison, 38 years old, lives in a luxury condo downtown. $2 million, purchased 18 months ago in cash. The buyer, an LLC traced back to Mark. There are photos. Mark and Linda at restaurants, a weekend in Napa Valley, walking through a farmer's market, his hand on the small of her back. Sarah studies Linda's face. She's pretty, but not stunning. Younger, yes, but not dramatically so. Brown hair, average height. She looks ordinary. That somehow makes it worse. "There's something else," Richard says. "She meets with lawyers. A lot. Different firms. High-powered ones. Divorce lawyers? I don't think so. These are criminal defense attorneys. Corporate litigation specialists." Sarah looks up. "Criminal?" Richard shrugs. "I'm still digging, but whatever your husband gave her $2 million for, it's not love. This is something else." Sarah takes the folder home. That night, while Mark is asleep, she memorizes every photo, every detail. She's looking for answers in Linda's face. She finds only more questions.
Mark is doing fine. Better than fine, actually. He lands a major contract, $3 million over 2 years. He celebrates with champagne, toasting Sarah and Jake like nothing is wrong. Like he didn't just move $500,000 to his mistress. Like his wife isn't dying inside. He hosts clients at the house. Sarah plays hostess, smiling until her face hurts. She watches Mark work the room. Charming, confident, successful. He's always been good at compartmentalizing. She just never realized how good. Jake notices nothing. He's accepted to 3 universities, debating between pre-med and engineering. Sarah helps him make pro-con lists, while her own life crumbles. One night, she breaks. Mark finds her crying in the bathroom at 2 a.m. "Sarah, don't touch me. Let me explain. You've had 3 weeks to explain. You've said nothing. It's complicated." She laughs, bitter. Everything's complicated when you're a liar. Mark leaves. She locks the door and cries until she's empty. The next morning, she makes him breakfast, because Jake is home, and Jake cannot know. Not yet. Sarah tracks Linda to a coffee shop. She's followed her for 3 days, learning her patterns. Linda gets a vanilla latte every morning at 9:15. She sits by the window, working on her laptop. Today, Sarah walks in and sits down across from her. "Linda Morrison?" Linda looks up, startled. "Yes? I'm Sarah Chen, Mark's wife." The color drains from Linda's face. She starts to stand, but Sarah reaches across the table. "Please, I just want to talk." Linda sits slowly, eyes darting to the door like she's calculating escape routes. She's nervous, frightened even, not what Sarah expected. "You don't understand," Linda says quietly. "Then help me understand. Why is my husband giving you $2 million? How long have you been sleeping with him? I'm not..." Linda stops, takes a breath. "We're not together. Not the way you think. He bought you a condo. I know how it looks. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you've been destroying my family for 4 years." Linda's hands shake around her coffee cup. "Mark told me you knew, that you had an arrangement, that you were separating years ago but stayed together for your son." Sarah feels like she's been slapped. "He told you what? That you understood, that this was okay with you." "None of that is true. I've been married to Mark for 23 years. We're not separating. There's no arrangement. He's been lying to both of us. Linda closes her eyes. When she opens them, they're wet. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Then tell me the truth. What is this? What does he pay you for? Before Linda can answer, her phone rings. She glances at the screen and goes white, even paler than before. I have to go. She stands quickly, gathering her things. Wait. Please, don't trust him about the money. It's not what he told you. It's not about us. It's never been about us. Then what is it about? But Linda is gone, leaving Sarah with more questions than answers.
Sarah can't let it go. If this isn't an affair, what is it? She goes through Mark's office at home, files, contracts, business records. Everything looks legitimate at first glance, but she's not looking at the surface anymore. She's looking deeper. And she finds them. A second set of books, hidden in encrypted files on his laptop. She only finds them because Jake helped her break the password months ago when Mark forgot it. Offshore accounts, shell companies, money moving in patterns that make no sense for a legitimate business. Mark's major contracts are smaller than he claimed, sometimes half what he told her. But the invoices he shows clients are inflated. The difference goes somewhere else. Sarah doesn't understand all of it. She's not a forensic accountant, but she knows fraud when she sees it. She copies everything onto a flash drive. Then she makes an appointment with Thomas Brennan, a forensic accountant Richard recommended. This might take a few days, Thomas tells her, flipping through the files. I have time, Sarah says. She doesn't, but she has no choice.
3 days later, Thomas calls her. Mrs. Chen, can you come to my office? Did you find something? A long pause. Yes, but we need to talk in person. Sarah drives across town, her heart hammering. When she sits down across from Thomas, his face is grave. I've been doing this for 20 years, he says slowly. I've seen embezzlement, tax evasion, all kinds of financial crimes. And? Your husband's case is unusual. He spreads documents across his desk, bank transfers, business records, invoices. As he explains, Sarah's blood runs cold. 5 years ago, Mark made a catastrophic business decision, a development deal that should have made millions. He convinced investors to buy in, including several friends and colleagues. He showed them projections, promised returns. But the deal was based on falsified reports, market analysis that didn't exist, partnerships that were never real. Mark had inflated everything to make it look like a sure thing. When the deal collapsed, the investors lost everything. Millions of dollars. Gone. One of the investors, Thomas continues, was a man named David Morrison. He lost his entire retirement, everything he'd saved for 40 years. Sarah's stomach drops. Morrison. Thomas nods. Linda Morrison. Discovered what your husband had done. The fraud, the falsified documents. She had enough evidence to put him in prison for 20 years. So why didn't she? Because she wanted him to suffer. Prison would be too quick, too easy. So she made a deal. He pays her, keeps paying her, or she goes to the police. Sarah can't breathe. He's being blackmailed. Yes. For 4 years? Yes. And he never told me. Thomas looks at her with something like pity. Mrs. Chen, there's more. Sarah's hands are numb. What else could there possibly be? He slides a final document across the desk. Meeting schedules, court records. She's not just blackmailing your husband, she's building a case, gathering evidence. The payments were never about letting this go. They were about bleeding him dry while she prepared to destroy him anyway. Sarah stares at the documents. The room spins. She wants revenge, Thomas says quietly, for her brother, and she's going to get it. Sarah drives home in a daze. She's so numb, she almost runs a red light. 23 years, 2 decades of marriage, and she never knew.
Never suspected. Mark isn't having an affair. He's a criminal. A man died because of him. And instead of facing consequences, he paid for silence. He lied to everyone, to investors, to the law, to her. When she gets home, Mark is in his office. She walks in without knocking. He looks up. "Sarah, I know everything." His face changes. "What do you—" "David Morrison, the development deal, the fraud, the blackmail. I know it all, Mark." He stands slowly, his hands raised like she's a bomb that might explode. Maybe she is. "Let me explain." "Explain what? How you destroyed people's lives? How a man killed himself because of what you did?" "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like? Please, enlighten me." Mark sinks into his chair. For the first time since this started, he looks small, broken. "It was supposed to work," he says quietly. "The deal. It was supposed to be legitimate. But then, everything fell apart. Market conditions changed, partners backed out. I'd already taken the investors' money. If I told them the truth, I'd lose everything. So I adjusted the numbers, made it look better than it was. I thought I could fix it, make it work somehow." "But you couldn't?" "No." "And David Morrison lost everything?" Mark's voice cracks. "I never wanted that. I never wanted him to die." "But he did. And instead of turning yourself in, you paid his sister to keep quiet? She had evidence, financial records, emails, documents. If she went to the police, I'd go to prison. You'd lose the house. Jake's college fund would be seized. Everything we've built." "You mean everything you've stolen?" Mark flinches. "I was trying to protect our family." Sarah laughs, bitter and sharp. "By lying? By committing fraud? By letting a dead man's sister blackmail you for 4 years? I had no choice." "You had a choice at every step. You chose wrong every single time." Mark puts his head in his hands. "I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't bring David Morrison back. Sorry doesn't erase what you've done."
Sarah turns to leave, but Mark's voice stops her. "There's something else you should know." She doesn't turn around. What else could there possibly be? Linda's not just building a case for fraud. Sarah's blood runs cold. "What do you mean?" She's claiming I knew. That I knew what David would do. That I drove him to it deliberately. Now Sarah does turn. "Did you?" "No. God, no. I had no idea he was that desperate. I never wanted—" His voice breaks. "But she has emails, messages I sent after the deal collapsed, telling him it was his own fault for not doing due diligence, that he should have known better to invest without verification." Sarah stares at him. "You blamed him? After you defrauded him?" "I was panicking. I didn't mean—" "She's going to claim you caused his death." Mark nods miserably. "It's not murder, legally, but wrongful death, criminal negligence, fraud resulting in suicide. I could still go to prison for decades, and financially, we'd be destroyed. Civil suits from all the other investors. Linda suing for her brother's death. Everything would be gone." "It already is gone," Sarah says quietly. "You destroyed it yourself 4 years ago. I'm just seeing the rubble now." She walks to the door. "What are you going to do?" Mark asks. Sarah doesn't answer. She doesn't know yet. But as she climbs the stairs to their bedroom, she realizes something. Mark had choices. At every step, he chose to lie, chose to hide, chose to save himself at everyone else's expense. Now it's Sarah's turn to choose. Sarah doesn't sleep. She sits in the dark, thinking. Jake is 18, starting college in 4 months. If this goes public, when this goes public, his life will implode. The scandal, the shame, his father revealed as a fraud and a liar. But if she does nothing, She becomes complicit. She protects a man who destroyed lives and felt no remorse until he got caught. At dawn, Sarah makes her decision. She calls Linda Morrison. "We need to meet," Sarah says, "just the two of us." They meet at the same coffee shop. Linda is wary, sitting with her back to the wall. Sarah doesn't waste time. "I know everything. The fraud, your brother, the blackmail, the prosecutors." Linda's face is stone. "Then you know what your husband deserves. He deserves to face consequences, real ones, not whatever game you've been playing." "Game?" Linda's eyes flash. "My brother is dead because of him. David was 58 years old. He should be retired, playing with grandchildren. Instead, he's in the ground because Mark Chen is a liar and a thief. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm sorrier than you can imagine. Are you? Or are you just here to beg me to spare your perfect life?" Sarah leans forward. "I'm not begging. I'm offering you something better than revenge." Linda studies her. "What?" "Stop hiding behind blackmail. Stop bleeding us dry while building a case in secret. You want justice? Real justice? Then let's go to the prosecutors together. I'll testify. I'll give them everything I found. Mark will face consequences. Prison, restitution, all of it. But you'll face consequences too. Blackmail is a crime, Linda. You're not innocent anymore. I did what I had to do. So did Mark. That's what he says. Everyone has reasons. Everyone justifies their choices." Linda's jaw tightens. "This is different." "Is it? You've been committing crimes for 4 years. Extortion, maybe wire fraud. The money Mark paid you, that's evidence of your crimes too. We can both go down, or we can both choose something better. Why would you do this? Why would you sacrifice everything?" Sarah's voice is quiet. "Because Mark already did. 4 years ago when he committed fraud. The life I thought I had, it's been gone this whole time. I was just too blind to see it." Linda looks away, her eyes wet. "David called me the night before. He said he'd failed their parents, failed his wife, that he had nothing left. I know. Mark showed me the timeline. He told him it would be okay, that money wasn't everything. But he didn't believe me." They sit in silence. Finally, Linda speaks. "What happens to your son? If this goes public?" "He survives. People do. He's stronger than Mark ever was." "And you?" Sarah takes a breath. "I don't know yet, but at least I'll know the truth. At least I'll be able to live with myself." Linda studies her for a long moment. Then she nods. Once. Barely. "Okay," she whispers. "Okay." If she had known what was coming that day, she would never have stepped into the coffee shop with her. But that meeting with Linda, that noble conversation about truth and justice, that's not what actually happens. Sarah sits in her car outside the coffee shop for 20 minutes. She watches Linda through the window, typing on her laptop, sipping her vanilla latte. This woman who's been bleeding them dry, who wants to destroy Mark, destroy their family, destroy everything. And Sarah realizes something cold and clear. Linda Morrison will never stop. Even if they go to the prosecutors, even if Mark goes to prison, Linda will take everything. The house, Jake's college fund, their reputation. She'll sue them civilly until there's nothing left but rubble. Sarah starts the car and drives away. She doesn't go home. Instead, she drives 2 hours to a city she's never been to, uses a burner phone she bought with cash, and makes a call to a number Richard the PI gave her months ago. A number he said was for emergencies only. "I need something handled," she tells the voice on the other end. "Permanently." 3 days later, Sarah meets a man in a parking garage. He's ordinary looking, forgettable, the kind of face you'd never remember. "50,000 now," she says, handing him an envelope. "50,000 when it's done." How do you want it to look? Sarah's voice is steady, like an accident, like she was never a target, no connection to me or my family. The man nods. 2 weeks, maybe 3. These things take time to do right. Take whatever time you need, just make sure there's no trace. He pockets the envelope and walks away. Sarah drives home, makes dinner, helps Jake with his financial aid forms. When Mark tries to talk to her, she walks past him like he's furniture. That night, she sleeps better than she has in months. Jake has his best friend Marcus over to study. They've been friends since elementary school. Marcus is like a second son to Sarah. She's made him dinner 1,000 times, driven him to soccer practice, helped him with homework. The boys are upstairs in Jake's room, supposedly working on college essays. But Marcus comes down to grab snacks from the kitchen. He's at the bottom of the stairs when he hears Sarah's voice coming from Mark's office. The door is cracked open. 2 weeks, Sarah is saying into her phone. Maybe 3, you said? It's been 18 days. Marcus freezes. I don't care about complications. We had a deal. $50,000 now, $50,000 when Linda Morrison is out of the picture. Permanently. Marcus's blood runs cold. He knows about Linda. Jake's been stressed about his parents' marriage troubles, mentioned a woman named Linda who's causing problems. But this? No traces, Sarah continues. That was the agreement. Make it look like an accident. I don't want anyone connecting her death to my family. Marcus backs away slowly, his heart hammering. He goes back upstairs, his hands shaking so badly he can barely open Jake's door. You okay? Jake looks up from his laptop. You look like you've seen a ghost. Marcus forces a smile. Yeah, I'm fine. Just, I think I need to head home. Forgot I have a thing. Now? It's only 8. Sorry, man. I'll text you later. He's out the door before Jake can argue. Marcus drives 2 blocks, pulls over and throws up in a drainage ditch. Jake's mom, Mrs. Chen, who made him chocolate chip pancakes and helped him study for the SATs, just hired someone to kill another person. What the hell is he supposed to do with that?
Marcus doesn't sleep. At 3 a.m., he's still staring at his ceiling, replaying what he heard. Maybe he misunderstood. Maybe it was about something else. Maybe... No, there's no other way to interpret make her death look like an accident. By morning, he's made his decision. He has to tell someone. But who? Not his parents. They'll call the police immediately. And then what? Jake's mom goes to prison? Jake's life is destroyed? Not Jake. How do you tell your best friend that his mother is planning a murder? Marcus spends the day in a daze. His mom asks if he's feeling okay. Just tired, he says. That night, he makes a choice. He calls Jake. Hey, can I come over? I need to talk to you about something. Alone. When Marcus arrives, Jake takes him up to his room and closes the door. What's going on? You've been weird since yesterday. Marcus takes a breath. I heard something when I was at your house. Your mom was on the phone in your dad's office. Okay. Jake, she was talking about having someone killed. Jake laughs. What? No, she wasn't. I heard her. She mentioned Linda Morrison. Said something about $50,000 and making her death look like an accident. Jake's smile fades. You're messing with me. I wish I was. My mom wouldn't. She's not. But Jake's voice trails off. Because hasn't his mom been different lately? Colder? Harder? She stopped trying to fix things with Dad. Stopped crying. It was like someone flipped a switch. Maybe you misheard, Jake says weakly. I didn't. Jake, I'm sorry, but I didn't. They sit in silence. Finally, Jake speaks. What do we do? Marcus has been asking himself the same question for 24 hours. I don't know, but we have to do something. We can't just let someone die. Even if telling someone destroys my family, even then. Jake puts his head in his hands. His perfect life, college acceptance, stable family, bright future, it's all disintegrating. Give me 24 hours, Jake says. Let me talk to her first. Maybe there's an explanation. Marcus hesitates. Jake, please,
Just one day. Okay, one day. But if you don't handle it, I'm going to the police. After Marcus leaves, Jake sits in the dark trying to figure out how to ask his mother if she's planning a murder. Jake waits until the next evening. Mark is working late. It's just him and Sarah. She's making dinner when he walks into the kitchen. Mom, we need to talk. Sarah doesn't look up from chopping vegetables. About what, honey? About Linda Morrison. Her knife pauses. Just for a second. What about her? I know what you're planning. Now she does look up. Her face is calm, but her eyes are sharp. What do you think you know? Marcus heard you. On the phone. Talking about $50,000 and making her death look like an accident. Sarah sets down the knife carefully. She wipes her hands on a towel. When she speaks, her voice is eerily quiet. Marcus should learn to mind his own business. Mom, please tell me it's not true. Tell me you're not actually planning to have someone killed. Sarah looks at her son, this boy she raised, who's supposed to be good and decent and nothing like his father, and makes a calculation. She could lie, deny everything, say Marcus misunderstood. But she's tired of lying. Linda Morrison destroyed our family, Sarah says. She's bleeding us dry. She's going to put your father in prison and take everything we have, your college fund, this house, everything. So you're going to murder her. I'm going to protect you. By becoming a killer? Sarah's voice hardens. By doing what has to be done. Your father was too weak. He let her blackmail him for 4 years. He let her ruin us. Someone has to fix this. Not like this. Mom, this isn't you. You don't know what I am. You don't know what I'm capable of when it comes to protecting you. Jake backs away from her. This woman who looks like his mother but sounds like a stranger. If you go through with this, Jake says quietly, I'll never forgive you. And I'll go to the police myself. They stare at each other across the kitchen. You'd turn in your own mother? Sarah asks. To stop you from murdering someone? Yes. Sarah's face crumples. For just a moment she looks lost. Then she straightens and her expression goes cold. Then I guess we both have choices to make.
Jake goes to his room and calls Marcus. We have to go to the police. Tomorrow, first thing. But that night, Sarah doesn't sleep. She sits in the dark, thinking. She thinks about the man in the parking garage, the $50,000 already gone, the plan already in motion. She thinks about Jake's face when he looked at her, the disgust, the betrayal. She thinks about Mark, who started all of this with his lies. And she thinks about Linda Morrison, who maybe doesn't deserve to die for wanting justice for her brother. At 3 a.m., Sarah makes a decision. She digs out the burner phone and makes a call. It's off, she says when the man answers. Don't touch her. The deal is done. You already paid $50. Keep it. Just don't touch Linda Morrison. She hangs up before he can argue, then she throws the burner phone in the garbage disposal and runs it until there's nothing left but plastic fragments. The next morning, Jake comes downstairs to find his mother at the kitchen table, looking exhausted. I called it off, Sarah says quietly, last night. It's done. Jake sits down slowly. Really? You were right. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was so angry, so desperate to fix things that I became something I'm not. What happens now? Sarah takes a breath. Now I do what I should have done from the beginning. I go to the police. I tell them everything. About your father's fraud, Linda's blackmail, all of it. Let the law handle it. Dad will go to prison. Probably. We'll lose everything. Probably that too. Jake is quiet for a long moment. What about the man? The one you hired? What if he doesn't stop? Sarah's blood goes cold. She hadn't thought of that. I told him to stop. But what if he doesn't listen? What if he already put things in motion? They stare at each other as the realization sinks in. Sarah grabs her phone and dials Richard, the PI. I need Linda Morrison's address. Now. Why? Now, Richard.
He texts it to HR. Sarah and Jake drive across town, speeding through yellow lights. Sarah tries calling Linda, no answer. She calls again. Again. Nothing. They reach Linda's building. Sarah parks illegally and runs for the entrance. Jake is right behind her. They take the elevator to the 8th floor. Sarah pounds on apartment 8C. Linda! Linda Morrison, open the door. Nothing. Sarah pounds harder. Linda! The door opens. Linda stands there in pajamas, looking confused and annoyed. What the hell? She's alive. She's fine. Sarah nearly collapses with relief. Jake catches her. Are you insane? She demands. It's 7 in the morning. You need to leave, Sarah says breathlessly. Pack a bag. Go somewhere for a few days. Don't tell anyone where. Why would I? Please, just trust me. You're in danger. Linda looks at Sarah, then at Jake, then back to Sarah. Something in Sarah's face must convince her. How much danger? The kind that doesn't leave traces. Who? Me. I hired someone, but I called it off. I don't know if he'll listen. The silence is deafening. Finally, Linda nods. Give me 10 minutes.
Patricia continues, her voice sharp as glass. I know what you've been planning. I know about the $50,000. I know about the man you hired to kill Linda. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Patricia's voice cracks. I've been watching you, watching Linda, watching this entire mess my husband died for. You think you're the only one who wants revenge? Mark steps forward. Patricia, listen. Shut up. You killed him. You destroyed him with your lies, and then you blamed him for believing you. I've waited 5 years for justice. Linda wanted money. She wanted to bleed you dry slowly, but I wanted something else. Patricia reaches into her leather bag. Sarah's breath catches. What do you want? I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to know what it's like to lose everything. She pulls out a phone and presses play on a video. It's footage of Sarah meeting the assassin. High-quality surveillance. Sarah handing over the envelope. Their conversation, barely audible, but enough. I've sent this to the police. They'll be here in about 10 minutes. You're going to prison, Mrs. Chen. Both of you. Your son will grow up knowing your parents are criminals and murderers. Your perfect life? Gone. Just like mine. Sarah's face drains of color. You've been following me? For weeks. I knew Linda was too soft. She wanted justice through the system. But the system failed my husband, so I've been collecting my own evidence. Against Linda, against you, against everyone who profited from David's death. Mark's voice is desperate. Patricia, please. Jake has nothing to do with this. David had nothing to do with your fraud. He was innocent, and he's dead. Your son gets to live with the consequences of your choices, just like I had to. Outside, Jake turns to Marcus, his face white. We have to get out of here, if the cops are coming. But Marcus is staring at something else. The black sedan. It's pulled up across the street. The assassin is getting out, walking toward the house. Jake, Marcus whispers, he's coming.
Inside, Sarah sees movement through the front window, a man approaching the house. She recognizes his silhouette. Mark, someone's outside. Patricia turns, sees the man, and her confidence falters. Who is that? The person I hired, Sarah says quietly. I tried to call it off. He didn't listen. What? The doorbell rings. They all freeze. Don't answer it, Mark hisses. The doorbell rings again. Then the man's voice. Mrs. Chen, I know you're in there. We need to talk about our arrangement. Patricia's face goes from pale to terrified. You brought a killer to my confrontation? I didn't bring him anywhere. He followed me. The front door handle jiggles. The man is trying to open it. We need to call the police, Mark says. They're already coming, Patricia snaps. Not fast enough. Sarah runs to the kitchen, grabs her phone. Her hands shake as she dials 911. Outside, Jake and Marcus watch the assassin try the front door, then move toward the side entrance. He's going around back, Marcus says. Jake, we have to... But Jake is already moving. He runs to the back of the house just as the man reaches the sliding glass door. Jake steps into view, blocking the path.
The assassin stops, studies this teenage boy. Move, kid. No. This doesn't concern you. That's my mom in there. The assassin's expression doesn't change. Then you should move. Last warning. Jake's voice shakes, but he doesn't budge. I called the cops. They're on their way. You need to leave. For a long moment, they stare at each other. Then sirens. Distant, but getting closer. The assassin looks at Jake, then at the house, calculating. Finally, he steps back. You just saved your mother's life, kid. Hope she deserves it. He walks away, disappearing into the shadows between houses. Jake's knees nearly give out. Marcus runs up behind him. Holy shit! Holy shit, you just... But Jake isn't listening. He's watching through the glass door as his mother collapses into a chair, Mark's arms around her, Patricia standing frozen in shock. The sirens are getting louder.
3 police cars arrive simultaneously. Officers pour out, surrounding the house. Jake and Marcus meet them on the front lawn. There was a man, Jake says quickly. He ran that way, black jacket, about 6 feet. The officers split up. 2 of them go after the assassin. The others enter the house. Inside, they find Sarah, Mark, and Patricia. Sarah is crying. Mark looks defeated. Patricia is trying to explain everything at once. She hired a hitman. I have video evidence. And he, her husband, committed fraud 5 years ago. My husband died because of it. Ma'am, slow down, the lead officer says. It takes 2 hours to sort everything out. Patricia's video evidence, Sarah's confession about the murder for hire, Mark's fraud, Linda Morrison's blackmail. They arrest Sarah and Mark. Patricia isn't charged. She only collected evidence and reported crimes. Technically legal. Jake watches his parents being let out in handcuffs. His mother looks at him through the police car window, her eyes pleading for forgiveness he doesn't know if he can give. Patricia walks up to Jake. Her face is softer now. I'm sorry you had to see this. Are you? You wanted to destroy my family. I wanted justice. There's a difference. Is there? My dad's a criminal. My mom almost became a murderer. But you set all this in motion. You could have just gone to the police 5 years ago. Instead, you watched. You waited. You let it get this bad. Patricia flinches. Your father killed my husband. And you wanted us to suffer. Congratulations. We're suffering. Jake turns away. I hope it was worth it.
3 weeks later, Sarah and Mark are in jail, awaiting trial. The house is being seized to pay restitution to the defrauded investors. Jake is staying with Marcus's family. Linda Morrison visits Jake one afternoon. They sit on the back porch, not quite knowing what to say to each other. I didn't know, Linda says finally, about Patricia, about what she was planning. She's your sister-in-law. She cut me off years ago, said I was too weak for wanting to just bleed your father dry instead of destroying him completely. I guess she was working on her own plan the whole time. Jake is quiet. For what it's worth, Linda continues, I never wanted your mother to go to prison. I just wanted your father to face consequences for what he did. She was trying to kill you. I know, but she stopped. That has to count for something. Does it? Linda looks out at the yard. I don't know. I've spent 5 years being angry. It didn't bring my brother back. Your mother spent months being terrified. It didn't save her family. Patricia spent 5 years planning revenge, and now she has it. But she looks emptier than before. So what's the point? Maybe there isn't one. Maybe we all just make choices and live with the consequences. They sit in silence as the sun sets.
6 months later, Jake is at community college, living in a tiny apartment paid for with financial aid. He visits his mother once a month, his father less often. One day, he gets a call from an unknown number. Jake Chen? Yes? This is Detective Morrison. We need you to come to the station. It's about your mother's case. Jake's stomach drops. What about it? Just Come down, you'll want to hear this. At the station, they lead him to an interview room. Inside, there's a man in a suit, not a police officer. Mr. Chen, I'm David Garrett. I'm a federal investigator. We've been looking into your mother's case. Okay. The man your mother hired, the assassin, we caught him 3 weeks ago. He's been cooperating with us, giving information about his clients. Jake's throat is dry. And he gave us information about Patricia Brennan. Jake sits up straighter. What about her? David Garrett slides a file across the table. Patricia didn't just collect evidence against your mother. She facilitated the entire thing. She's the one who gave your mother the assassin's contact information. She wanted your mother to try to have Linda killed so she could turn both of them into the police. What? Patricia Brennan has been orchestrating this for years. She manipulated Linda into blackmailing your father. She fed your mother information that would push her toward violence. She wanted everyone to destroy each other while she watched. Jake can't breathe. Why? Revenge, pure and calculated. But she went too far. Facilitating murder for hire is a crime. She's being charged as an accessory. And my mom? Your mother's charges will be reduced. She was manipulated. She still made terrible choices, but there were mitigating circumstances. Jake sits back, processing. So, all of this, Patricia, set it all up? Not all of it. Your father's fraud was real. Linda's blackmail was her own choice. But Patricia fanned the flames. She made sure everything went as badly as possible.
1 year later, Sarah is released from prison after serving 18 months. Jake picks her up at the gates. They drive in silence for a while. Patricia got 7 years, Sarah says finally. I heard. Yeah. I still made the choice to hire that man. That was me, not her manipulation. I know. But she pushed me there, gave me the contact, made sure I was desperate enough to use it. Jake nods. Everyone made choices. Bad ones. They pull up to a small apartment, Sarah's new home. Jake helped her find it. Dad's parole hearing is next month, Jake says. Are you going? I don't know yet. Are you? Sarah looks out the window. I don't know either. They sit in the car, mother and son, both broken in different ways. Marcus told me something, Jake says, after everything came out. He said he almost didn't tell me what he heard. He almost just let it go, pretended he never heard anything. Why didn't he? Because he said that's how evil wins, when good people know something's wrong and do nothing. Sarah's eyes water. He's right. But he also said you stopped. That when I confronted you, you could have lied, could have denied everything, but you admitted it. You called it off, and that has to mean something. Does it? Jake finally looks at her. I think so. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt, but I think it means something. Sarah reaches over and takes her son's hand. I'm so sorry. For all of it. I know. They sit there, holding hands in a beat-up Honda outside a tiny apartment. It's not the mansion, it's not the perfect life, but it's built on truth. And maybe that's enough. Tomorrow's episode, Jake find out more interesting and hidden agendas. This leads to some real truths.
Linda Morrison moved to Portland. She used the remaining money from the blackmail to start a foundation in her brother's name, helping fraud victims recover. Patricia Brennan sits in prison, her revenge complete but hollow. She writes letters to Linda that go unanswered. Mark Chen serves his sentence, teaching financial literacy to other inmates. He writes to Jake every week. Some letters Jake reads, some he doesn't. Marcus goes to law school. He specializes in criminal justice reform. And Sarah works at a nonprofit helping families affected by financial crimes. She speaks at community centers about the consequences of desperation, about the darkness that lives in all of us if we let it win. Jake visits her every Sunday. They have dinner, they talk, sometimes they fight, sometimes they laugh. It's messy and complicated, and nothing like the perfect family dinners with wine and plans for Santorini. But it's real. And after years of lies, real is enough. What would she do now, knowing the whole issue unfolds from her inquisitiveness? If you want to hear what happens next, subscribe and turn on notifications.